It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. You know, I don't know when it happened, but I really became a morning person a few years ago. I was an early morning person for several years when I worked the morning shift, but that's not being a morning person. That's just having a schedule that is not human. You wake up at 3 or 4, you maybe come home and nap, or you try to not nap and live like a person and go to bed at 8 o'clock. It was quite a life. I compensated for that life by constantly eating drive-thru. But ever since I moved to the noon to 3 shift with Johnny, which was back at the beginning of 2020, and of course doing this show going back to the beginning of 2024, my mornings are for me. And I wake up at 7 and maybe a few minutes before, get the dogs their breakfast, and then I do my show prep. I sit on the couch with the dogs on a blanket and go through all of my YouTubes because that is how I've done show prep for years. I don't have a subscription to a newspaper. I don't even go through social media because most of social media is garbage. I'll check the emails that we get, but for the most part, everything that I bring to this show and to the John Phillips Show, I get from the thousands of YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to. Thousands might be much. Hundreds, yes. So after I flag everything that I want, then I've got a little time to chill out with the dogs on the couch because it's too cold and gloomy to go outside just yet. And we'll play a little Nintendo Switch. That always makes me happy. Excuse me, Switch 2. I got a new one. I like it. And then around 9 a.m., that is when the real happy moment of my morning occurs because the sun is out, it's a little warmer, and I leash up my doggies and we go for our neighborhood walk. I have my glasses on that have speakers in them so I can listen to all my show prep while we go on our walk. And my walk with the dogs used to just be 5 minutes around the neighborhood, maybe 10 minutes around both loops of just this direct area. But ever since I got on this diet program a few months ago and I was told, don't do any heavy exercise, so I really couldn't do the Peloton and I really shouldn't do the treadmill, but walk around the neighborhood. I've been expanding my walks to about a half hour, and it's great. Because if I go like the entire circumference of my general neighborhood, so not having to cross any major streets, not having to hit any lights, just the area that's my neighborhood and the surrounding areas around it, it's about a half hour to go a mile and a half. And at first I wasn't sure my dogs were going to be up for it, but they were. And now they love it. Well, love it is a strong word. They like it when I put the leash on. Once I make the turn that they know they're going for the big walk, there's the occasional complaint, but they like it. They look forward to it. And it's great because I'll occasionally wave at a neighbor. All of my neighbors are so polite. You never know with dogs these days, like who's friendly, who's not friendly. Mine are tiny dogs. I got a 12-pound Cavalier and I've got a 7-pound Rat Terrier Chihuahua who knows what she is. They are both very not threatening. They don't bark at other dogs. But regardless, you never know. So in my neighborhood, and I'm sure this is true in your neighborhood, everyone's very courteous. And everyone, as soon as somebody is even getting close to approaching you, if you're walking in the same direction, one of us will decide to cross to the other side. There's plenty of space for everybody. My neighborhood's not that busy. And it's a lovely time. You know, I've got my sun hat on so I don't get a sunburn, but I for so many years, my exercise was just indoors when I was home. And one of the things I love about Santa Fe is I do so much exercising outdoors that this half-hour walk every day is something I really look forward to, and I love being a part of it with my dogs. And 99% of the time, we have a wonderful experience. But every once in a while, I get reminded of why in a place like Los Angeles, with the regulations, rules, and laws that we have, me being in my suburban, boring neighborhood in San Fernando Valley, walking my little dogs around the neighborhood isn't necessarily safe. And why is that? Because more and more often, what do I see wandering around my neighborhood? Which again, I'm in the middle of the valley. I'm not near any foothills. I'm not near any brush areas. The closest park is 1.5 miles away. What do I see roaming around my neighborhood more often than I would like to see? Coyotes. And I really don't like to see that because my dogs are small and my dogs probably look like food to those coyotes. First time I ever saw one was probably 2 years ago. And this is when I would think, okay, maybe you'll see them in Woodland Hills. Maybe you'll see them, in places that are next to the Santa Monica Mountains, but you'd never see one in the middle of the valley. And so I would take my dogs for shorter walks, but I'd do it earlier in the morning. I think one time we had a lot of stuff to do that day, so I took them out at 7 a.m. And at 7 a.m. in the valley, the marine layer is over. It's gloomy. It's cold. And I quickly learned that that's a terrible thing to do because as I'm rounding the curve of just my little block here, we're walking past a house that has so much shrubbery and so many trees that you can't really see past it, and you can't see into the yard next to it. And all of a sudden, I see sitting in the yard next to the house I was walking in front of, which was a yard of fake grass, was a coyote just kind of chilling there. And it was the first time I had ever come into like face-to-face interaction with a coyote. When I lived in Burbank, and we lived in the Burbank foothills, you would occasionally, when I would drive to KABC at 4 a.m. to go do the morning show, you would see them going around the streets. But that was 4 a.m. This was 7 a.m. And I picked up my dogs and screamed as loud as I could to scare that thing. And I was so panicked, I didn't want to walk my dogs for a very long time. Luckily, they're small, so if they don't go on walks, it's not that big a deal, but they really do like it. It's part of the day. It's part of the routine. But I was freaked out. And in fact, to this day, anytime I walk in front of that house, I remember what I felt. I slowly keep the dogs close to me and I peek over that yard just to see if there's anything there. And of course, there's nothing there. So my thought at that point was, okay, well, maybe I can't be walking at 7 a.m. That doesn't make sense. That's not smart. So why don't I wait until 9? I don't have to leave here until 10 every day. So that's what I've been doing. And when the weather's good enough and it's not too hot or too cold, we will also do an evening walk around 6 o'clock because I get off this show at 6 o'clock. Go do a quick neighborhood walk. Not the full 30 minutes, but just something. Get them out. As we say, go for a poop loop. And the last few weeks, more and more often, my theory of, okay, well, as long as you're not walking around at sunrise or sunset, you're fine, has been disproven. Because I have many times in the last 2 months seen coyotes showing up, wandering around my neighborhood, actually walking in from the main street at 9 a.m. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I was rounding the corner to go to my full walk, and I see a coyote chasing squirrels up a tree. And on a 6 p.m. evening walk, I just see another coyote just hanging out in somebody's yard. Now, luckily, in the last couple of weeks, I haven't seen any, but I'm always alert. I am constantly walking around. I cannot be distracted. It's like my walks have become work. I'm doing my show prep, but I am also constantly looking around, making sure to assess any possible threats. And it's not nearly as relaxing as it used to be. But what am I supposed to do? Not walk the dogs anymore? That's not fair. But I don't really know what to do because outside of if you see one, make sure you don't act scared, you act scary and scare it away. I don't know what to do. As far as I know, we're not allowed to do anything. And if you call animal control, I don't think they're going to do anything. And then you have the problem. It's not prevalent in my neighborhood, but I know plenty of neighborhoods, and a valley is full of a lot of neighborhoods with a lot of neighborhood cats. And people like to leave out food for their outdoor cats. And if you leave out food and you leave out water, you're attracting this stuff. I know some neighborhoods where people have actually started leaving out food for the coyotes. Stop it. Stop doing that. You know, and I will say, I have seen a lot less cats wandering around this neighborhood, and I wonder what happened. I don't like that. Well, it's not just happening in the valley. There have been an increase in coyote sightings in West Hollywood. Also, not anywhere near mountains. For more, here's KTLA.
Some coyotes have been spotted in the city of West Hollywood, and the encounters have put some residents on edge. KTLA's Omar Lewis, they're live now with the details. A lot of neighborhoods used to seeing coyotes, but maybe not so much in West Hollywood. Omar, good morning.
Absolutely, and that's exactly the message from
Everyone's doing it.
Absolutely, and that's exactly the message from wildlife officials. Good morning, Jessica. We're located off of Ogden Drive near Santa Monica Boulevard, where there have been several coyote sightings just over the weekend. And after multiple sightings in this area, neighbors tell us that they are on edge, especially after one man's dog walk quickly turned into a run for safety.
Oh, no, you're not supposed to run away. My wife, who, you know, she rides horses. She's been at camps in rural Texas, like way less afraid of this stuff than I am. So we're on a walk once, and she's just like starts yelling at the coyote, "Go away! Get out of here!"
Oh my God. 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 Oh my God.
There's nothing more LA than somebody being freaked out by a coyote, and their first instinct is, well, I got to film this.
Take a look. This is video shared with WeHo Times. One resident walking two small dogs on Harper Avenue says two full-grown coyotes chased them, forcing him to duck into a garage. On Saturday morning, another coyote was reported on Harper heading towards Santa Monica Boulevard. And later that night, a sighting happened here on North Ogden Drive. Neighbors describing these animals as unusually bold. While coyotes may feel out of place in WeHo, wildlife officials say urban coyotes are common across Southern California. But
yeah, this is no longer an anomaly. This is no longer some new thing. This is just life. And I don't think there's anything we get to do about it because, oh no, the poor coyote's habitat, which I don't care. I don't care. All I care about is the safety of my little dogs. I don't care about the well-being of the coyote. I do not.
Because cities offer food, water, and shelter, of course. Both city and state wildlife officials have dedicated web pages devoted to coyote management. Some of the most important tips to remember here, if you do experience this, are removing those attractants, bringing pet food, water bowls inside, protecting your pets.
Yeah, that's the first step. Which, again, there's a lot of people that like to feed neighborhood cats. I get it. But it's not just cats roaming around.
Protecting your pets, not leaving any cats or small dogs outside unattended. And if you
oh gosh, we're even at the point where, you know, you see those videos. It's never happened in this neighborhood. But yeah, even taking the dogs out in the backyard, you can't just sit there and wait for them. And for some reason, sometimes my dogs like to run out into the side yard because God forbid they go on the grass. We have all this grass, but they don't like to use that. They like to use the dirt on the side yard. But now I got to go watch them because they can't be out of my sight because we're paranoid because there's predators roaming around the neighborhood.
And if you do encounter a coyote, you're told to face the coyote, be big, make loud noises, yelling, using...
Shake them keys, put your hands up high, rah, 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 get as loud as you can. Don't act scared. They pick up on that. And don't run away. That doesn't work either.
Make loud noises, yelling, using an air horn and things of that nature, waving your arms.
Act like your neighborhood is Big Boy's neighborhood.
Make loud noises, yelling, using an air horn and things of that nature, waving your arms. Do not run. That is the message, again, from officials. And back out here live, wildlife officials.
Of course, the officials don't have anything like, oh, call us and we'll take care of it. So they're not allowed to do that.
During this period from September to November, that's when those younger juvenile coyotes begin leaving the den, and that may explain why people are seeing more of them, especially in this area right now. Then in January, that's when mating season begins. So
can't we, I know this is probably cruel, but can't we come up with some campaign where, okay, you don't want to trap and remove them, you don't want to exterminate them. Can we castrate the coyotes so they stop reproducing? I'm sorry, we built a whole city here and we drove them out of their home, but that's the way it is now. And these predators, I don't see how they contribute to the ecosystem because the only thing that they're going after are house pets.
No end in sight as far as these coyote sightings. But for more information on those tips and how to report it, just head to the state's website. That's wildlife.ca.gov. That is the latest for now. Here live from West Hollywood this morning, I'm Omar Lewis. Frank and Jess will send it back to you.
Look, I know there's a lot of dog owners in the audience. I'm sure there's a lot of cat owners as well. But I have experienced quite the uptick in the last few months. We just saw it in West Hollywood. There are a lot more coyote sightings than there ever have been before, and they seem to be a lot bolder, not just going out at sunrise and sunset, but sometimes walking around in the middle of the morning, early in the evening. Have you seen this? Have you seen a spike in coyotes in your neighborhood, and what do you do about it? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Are you seeing more of these bastard coyotes in your neighborhood? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Is there anything we can do about it? 800-222-KABC. Tell me what you're seeing out there. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. In West Hollywood, they're seeing a spike in coyote sightings. In my own neighborhood in the Valley, I'm seeing way more coyotes than I ever used to, and they're not just coming out early in the morning or late at night. I've seen them wandering around my neighborhood at 9 a.m. when I go on my walk. Are you seeing more coyote sightings in your neighborhood? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Patsy in Brea. Patsy, hello.
Hey, Randy, listen, 2 weeks ago on a Sunday evening at 11 o'clock, 12 coyotes paraded up my street. I had 2 of them camp out on my lawn for a week straight. I've had them jump my wall at noon, walk my wall at 10 o'clock in the morning. I've been there 38 years, and I have never seen it this bad. Never.
That is horrifying. And, is there anything you can even do? If you called the city, would they do anything about it?
No, because they're a protected class, from what I understand. And, my neighbor said, we could take care of this. I said, how? He said, crossbow. I go, no, please. I mean, I feel bad for them, but at this point, it's crazy. And when you told me that you can't let your dog outside, I have a little dog, and I have to go outside with her at night, and she runs around to the side yard, and I have to stand within 2 feet of her. It's terrifying.
Yeah, this is no way to live, and this is unacceptable. And for some reason, and you said it, for some reason, the coyotes are a protected class. It's like the homeless. It's the homeless of dogs. Thanks so much for the call, Patsy. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. West Hollywood is seeing a spike of coyote sightings. West Hollywood. I live in the San Fernando Valley. I'm seeing them way more often than I ever used to, and they're coming out later in the day and seem to be a lot less afraid of people. Are you seeing more coyotes in your neighborhood? What are you doing about it, if anything? Or are we all just food? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We're going to get to more of your calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We're taking your phone calls right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. In West Hollywood, residents are seeing a spike in coyote sightings. In my neighborhood in the San Fernando Valley, I've personally witnessed way more coyotes than I ever did before. It used to be you'd rarely see them, maybe once at 7 a.m. Now you're seeing them a hell of a lot more often, and at later hours in the day. I saw one just a couple weeks ago at 9 a.m. chasing squirrels right around the corner from my house. Are you seeing more coyotes in your neighborhood? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Teddy in La Cañada. Teddy, hello.
Yeah, Randy, we have coyotes. We've lived in the same place for 36 years, and they're pretty stable up here, But I will tell you that last year we had the greatest infusion of rats and mice and other little items of prey, which they eat, So you got to look at it, do we want these animals around our property? Rats and mice all over the place. We had a raccoon in our attic, and I was one of like 5 neighbors that had raccoons in the attic. We have an overgrowth of wildlife, and it's part of living in LA. My wife walks the dogs all the time at night, but she scares them away with air horn. It seems to work.
Looks like I'm going to have to invest in an air horn. And I see what you're saying, Teddy, yes, they would eliminate some of the other pests, and we sure are full of pests in Southern California. But like, for instance, my neighborhood, the rats were taken care of by the neighborhood cats. And now a predator came in and ate all the cats.
Right. Yeah, we lost our cat, our favorite cat. But, we also had that raccoon upstairs that was absolutely impossible for them to get. But we eventually got rid of them. I mean, it's unreal. But it's L.A. We love L.A.
Oh, well, speak for yourself on that one. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. When I go to the mountains, to Santa Fe, New Mexico, I don't see the kind of varmints that we see in what's supposed to be an urban area, but I guess not. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Ray in Hermosa. Ray, hello.
Hi, I've personally seen a couple of coyotes in town, and over the summer, my son was followed by a cougar. He was leaving Shellback Bar and going over to Hennessy's Bar, and there was a number of cougars around after him.
Oh, I see. Great joke. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, one time I ran into a whole wild pack of cougars at the Foxfire Lounge in Anaheim Hills. Is that place even still around? I do remember going there because a friend's like, oh, this is a great place to pick up women. But, I was 300 pounds and 20. I still wasn't prime real estate. But I remember a 70-year-old woman who was 4'10" in a neon mini dress. And there are certain sights you will never unsee. I don't think that place is around anymore. Let's go to Inga in LA. Inga, hello.
Hi, Randy. I never had small dogs. I have just cats, and I had German Shepherd and Golden Retriever mix. But when we would go to walks, I wouldn't care if I see 4 coyotes because that's 2 for me, 2 for him. So if there would be more, I would just lift up my hands and they would run away. They are smart. I had smaller dog. We walked and they want to come to greet him, to sniff him. So I just lift one finger and show them go away, and they go away. You just need to be sure what do you think. You just don't give mixed messages, but you don't need to be afraid from them. But lately, last 3 months, I haven't seen my regular coyotes, so probably they are in den.
It's a really good point that you make. If you show any sign of fear, they pick up on that. But if you're the alpha, if you're the scary one, most of the time they're timid, they run away. We have heard reports of some that are getting so aggressive that they go after children. So I don't know what we do about that. Thanks so much for the call, Inga. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Are you seeing more coyotes in your neighborhood? I am, and I don't like it. You know why? Because I like my little dogs and I'd like them to be safe. Let's go to Stacy in Northridge. Stacy, hello.
Hello. So I was calling one because I've noticed all of our feral cats disappearing, and we had dozens of them, and it's like basically overnight they're gone. But the other reason I was calling is because I was watching Shark Tank the other night, and it just so happened that they had someone on there with a special jacket for dogs. They have spikes on them, and they also have these long tubular plastic pieces that prevent your dog from being attacked by a coyote, so they claim. Because when the coyote goes to bite down, they get the spikes in their mouth instead.
Oh, wow. Well, necessity, this is the kind of thing that necessity needs invention. I love that idea. And this might, if we can't do anything about getting rid of them or relocating them or, I don't know, making sure they're sterilized, then at least we got to protect our little animals. Thanks so much for the call, Stacy. Appreciate it. Let's go to Carl in West Hills. Carl, hello.
Yes, Randy. I don't know that coyotes are a good fit for catching rats. I don't know that in the history of the world that they haven't. But what's really a great fit for catching rats is cats. And the coyotes kill the cats, and that's why I'm sure of it. That's why we have so many rats now. And we can get rid of the coyotes. We used to. Now we just have coyote huggers that say that we have to coexist. I guess that 6-year-old boy that got attacked by a coyote, he should have just coexisted. It was his fault. Sorry.
You are making so much sense right now. And you're right. This isn't a new problem. We just don't deal with it anymore because we've decided that, oh, no, this was their habitat. And even though they're a predator to the animals that people keep, oh, we can't do anything about that. And you're totally right. I've seen it in my neighborhood. I do not see the neighborhood cats in my neighborhood anymore. And I'm sure there's a reason why.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. So.
Thanks so much for the call, Carl. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Are you seeing more coyotes in your neighborhood? I'm seeing more in my neighborhood. They're seeing a spike of coyote sightings in West Hollywood. And let me just tell you, not a fan. 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Have you seen more coyotes in your neighborhood recently? I've seen it in mine, and there's a spike in West Hollywood, 800-222-KABC. If you want to email us, you could do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Remus writes in and says, we live in North Pomona, and at least twice a week we have coyotes on the property trying to get the cats. They don't eat leftover food and such since they like to hunt and eat whatever they catch. We lost 5 straight cats in 2 years. I have a BB gun and I'll shoot at them if I see them on my property. But just to add, our property is like the National Geographic since at one point we had as many as 7 skunks, 3 raccoons, possums every night, and also gophers. Holy cow! That's quite a farm you're living on. Oh boy, I don't like any of it. I like my domesticated house pets, and that's it. Don't care for wildlife. You know, you see a little bunny when you're hiking. That's cute. Birds, those are great. Neighborhood has tons of squirrels, but I guess the squirrels are faster than the coyotes. But yeah, I've got a skunk story. Maybe I'll tell it on the other side. First, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes Jeff Tate's Operation Mindcrime, the final chapter at the Canyon in Agora Hills on November 15th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at randykabc@gmail.com. John writes in, hey, Randy, I manage a wholesale nursery in the valley. We have daily coyotes on our property. They chased away all my sweet little feral cats, which makes me want to shoot them. On the other hand, the coyotes keep the raccoons and possums away, and they're a nuisance around the nursery. At home in Burbank, I live a couple blocks down the golf course, and you're right, coyotes are really common. My friend's 2 Rhodesian Ridgeback dogs even got attacked by a mountain lion. Lots of wildlife to contend with. We live in a strange place. It's the concrete jungle, but it's also the jungle. Catherine writes in at randykabc@gmail.com. Hey, Randy, listening to you about the coyotes and the reason why cats aren't bringing people in, hopefully they're bringing them inside. But I'm told you a while back, get that air horn. They sell them online. I'm hoping that the reason is because I never let my cats out that are valuable to me. Well, yeah, for indoor, outdoor, but there's also just neighborhood feral cats, and I don't see as many as I used to. And where I live, we see coyotes from time to time, and I tell people, watch your dog when walking. One night I saw 2 huge raccoons walking down the street. Anyway, good show. Just get that air horn while you're walking your doggies. All right, I'm going to have to do that. Or you know what? There's probably an air horn app on the phone. That might be an idea. I do if I'm close to where my car is and my car's parked in my driveway, I'll hit the lock button. The horn will go off. But yeah, don't really care for having to deal with this on a daily basis. Haven't seen them in a couple weeks, but for a while it was like we were seeing them every day. And I got to a point where, you know, I can't let it stop me from living my life. And sure, I could just walk without the dogs, but they like the walks. Now, I mentioned I have a skunk story. This was about 4.5 years ago. We had our one dog, Lucy, the Cavalier, which was our COVID baby. We got her in December of 2019. And boy, was she lucky that she had 2 people that were doing nothing but staying home. Well, not true. I still went to work, but my wife worked from home. So, you know, Lucy never had to get put in the crate much. And we were spoiling the crap out of this dog. We also didn't think that she would like other dogs, but we finally were like, we miss having 2 dogs. And so we went to this place, the Wagmore, and we were originally going to adopt a poodle. And we had the meeting all set up, but the poodle wasn't there. The fosters were running late. And now I'm in the adoption center at the Wagmore with my wife and like 40 dogs, which is a very dangerous place to be in. And this little tiny rat terrier, chihuahua, who knows what it is, comes up to her and she's like, oh, that dog's kind of cute. Then we're looking at other dogs, we're petting other dogs. And after a while, this poodle's still not coming. And my wife thinks to herself, hey, what happened to that first dog I saw when we come in? She locked eyes with her and she comes running. And my wife picks her up and she falls asleep in her arms. And then it was like, well, we're keeping this one. The luckiest thing of that day, outside of, adopting my Rita rat, is that we only came out of there with one dog. Because at one point, she was like, well, we have to get that one and that one and that one and that one. But we brought her home. By the way, she fell asleep while my wife was holding her. It was like, oh, yeah, this is the dog. We bring her home, introduce her in the backyard to Lucy. They don't really care about each other, but they also get along. And, my dog is so not threatening that they got along really well. And we put them in their crates for their very first night. And so far, so good. She's eating normally. She's getting used to the house. She's not afraid. She's very comfortable. At 2 a.m., she starts barking. And we're like, oh no, did we get a yappy dog? We did not. There was a very specific reason she was barking. This little dog that just became our dog hasn't been our dog for more than 24 hours. Warned us that a skunk got under the house because as soon as we woke up, we smelled it. And it sprayed all over the crawl space that it got into under the house. And I had to pull out the slow cooker, fill it with apple cider vinegar, and put that in every room for a while. We had to call someone out to trap it because, yeah, you're actually allowed to trap skunks. Not coyotes, but you're allowed to trap skunks. Got it. We had to build a whole situation where first we had to set up a trap, but it had to come out of the crawl space. So I did set up a trap, and a neighborhood cat got in the trap. It was a safe trap. It wasn't one where it gets hurt. It's just you walk in and then the door closes. So I had to set that cat free. And then finally, we were successfully able to trap the skunk. I called the people, say, get this thing out of here. About a week later, my house smelled normal. But yeah, the day we got that dog, she warned us, hey, something's going on. And to this day, even though she's a Chihuahua, she doesn't yap. But if someone knocks on the door, someone comes home, one bark to warn us. That's a good little dog. Thank you all so much for listening to the show and me complain about coyotes. I really appreciate it. It's like therapy doing this every day. Appreciate the phone calls and the emails. It's a whole family here. We'll see you tomorrow. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.